Hi, everybody. Welcome again to Heal the Shadow in Your Relationships Too. And today I'm so pleased to introduce you to Sandra Fidelis. Sandra is a dating coach, she's a speaker, and she's co author of a book called Sexy Secrets to a Juicy Love Life. Sandra helps high achieving women recognize the absolute treasure that they are to their ideal man. I love that. And she got knee deep in topics such as philosophy, energy psychology. Ooh, I want to hear more about that. Spirituality and communication with top industry experts, and discovered a practice that merges intuition with universal laws to create life-altering results for her clients. Sandra empowers women to shift how they view themselves and to redefine what they believe they deserve in every area of life. She creates groundbreaking virtual programs for women all over the world, helping them obliterate the obstacles that are standing in the way of meeting Mr. Right. So, Sandra, welcome to Heal the Shadow in Your Relationships.
Hi, thank you so much. And thanks so much for that wonderful reading of my bio. Beautiful.
Well, I'm just so excited to hear about all this stuff because it's like right up my alley. I want to talk to you about everything. So, first of all, let's just ask you, how did you become involved in the work that you do with women?
Well, like most of us, I became involved because I wanted to figure out why I was not in a fulfilling relationship, or why I was attracting people who just felt like they weren't a good fit for me. So I began my own journey, and through it, I began to study um, energy psychology, basically anything that I could get my hands on that would help me figure out on a deep level what I really needed to shift and how I needed to show up to attract somebody who had the qualities that I wanted. And so that's how my work in the love department started.
Woohoo. So when you talk about being able to attract somebody with the qualities you wanted, did you actually sit down and write a list? Like sometimes they tell us, write a list of everything you want, what you don't want, what you'll tolerate. Do you recommend that?
I do recommend it, but I also work with my clients, as well as, an exercise that I did was to really get to the root of what you want to experience and try to connect to that feeling instead of just, some characteristics on a piece of paper. I feel like always, connecting to the feeling of what you want to experience is a much more attractive and much more powerful way of bringing somebody into your life.
I
Now, I
Yeah, go
believe
ahead.
the list is great as well because it serves as a logical roadmap to what you want. So I think that both are great tools, and when you're navigating, the dating pool.
Well, I couldn't agree with you more. The list kind of serves our mental guidelines and our goals. And then when you talk about, making sure you have the feeling of what you want, I really feel that that speaks to our subconscious mind, to our unconscious mind, and that's what can reprogram us to really get the results that we're looking for. So I'm wondering if you can tell us, what do you see as the biggest issue that women face in their love relationships today?
The biggest issue that women face in their love relationships. That's a good question. I think the biggest issue is really um, at the very root of any of our issues, whether it's money or health or, love, is really, am I worthy of it? You know, am I worthy of this high quality relationship that I want? Am I worthy of going for that salary, that raise? am I worthy of starting this business? So I think at the root of our issues and challenges, there is that question, am I worthy of it? And you may not really experience that question consciously, but it's in the it's the unconscious, and this is what you were talking about before, right? The unconscious is basically what's really running the show. So I think that once women begin to do the work to really take a look at what's going on, like why is that question there? Why is that question even there on an unconscious level? And start to really dig into what the root cause is of that, then you start seeing these challenges shift. Then you start seeing the external experience that you have with your relationships, with the people that you begin to attract shift.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And, we are talking about the shadow, and that's exactly what call the shadow. I don't know if you agree with me. Maybe before I get into my definition, let me ask you your definition of shadow and how do you help your clients to recognize their shadow?
My definition of a shadow is basically the deepest part of you that you hide, right? But it's a part of you that you try to suppress, but you can't really suppress because all of you is expressed in the world, right? Whether it's expressed consciously or unconsciously. So, for example, a shadow could be, um, my mother didn't want me. I wanted to be an actress when I was younger. My mother didn't want me to be an actress. So that desire is still inside of me, right? So, for example, when I see something that triggers that, or when I experience something in my life where I feel like I can't express a desire, that is a representation of a shadow. It's a part of you that you feel you're either not worthy of experiencing, or part of you that you feel you're ashamed of. So you suppress it, but you have these external triggers that come up in your life that point to you that there is that desire within you that wants to be expressed.
Yeah, you bet. So we were talking earlier about sometimes we just don't feel that we deserve that we're worthy of it. I was talking to a client the other day, and she noticed a connection between, because we don't see this stuff. That's why it's called a shadow. We don't realize that we're coming from I don't deserve. Mentally we've all done the affirmations. We're going, what do you mean? Of course I believe I deserve. But then you don't see the ways that you are acting out on that. So this client was saying that she just had a realization that her habit of procrastinating was actually her making her feel bad about herself, which got her to act out that inner belief that I don't deserve. And she didn't even see that it was actually coming across in procrastination that was kind of sabotaging her. So this is the way that this stuff works. Well, do you have any other examples of something that we just don't see operating in us that is causing us to constantly reaffirm I'm not worthy, I don't deserve?
Absolutely. I recently had a client. I was actually working with a client who she has had some issues with her career, and just not feeling like she's fulfilled in her career, not feeling like she is being well compensated in her career. And she's had some issues with money. So she actually started, and this is what happens. We attract to us what is going to trigger our shadow, right? So she started attracting these guys who, had money, were successful. And what was being reflected back to her is that she wasn't good enough because she couldn't keep up with them um, financially. She even had a guy tell her that, I'd be with you, but you don't really have your own money. Wow, right? That
Wow.
hurt. So, that's a shadow. That's her shadow showing up saying, I'm not good enough because I haven't achieved this level of financial success. But that's what it is. It's that unconscious part of her that feels like she's not good enough in this area that keeps showing up and keeps being reflected in the people that she's attracting.
Yeah. It made me think of like a long time ago when I was in the dating world. I've been married for 17 years now, but in the dating world, I actually attracted a guy. Man, I was so madly in love with him. But he told me point blank, uh, your parents are a deal breaker, because I had shame about the fact that my parents are very poor, ignorant, uneducated immigrants from Lithuania, and here I am trying to put myself in the world and become sophisticated and look like I'm, moneyed and successful and all this stuff. And again, you can't hide the stuff that's in you. It's going to come out one way or another, and it
Yeah.
comes out as a reflection from the people that we attract.
Absolutely. It's amazing how it happens. But we do attract people to us that will show us what we still need to heal.
Yeah. So, speaking of what we still need to heal, how do you encourage a client to go about and heal that? Like, so, this client who had somebody say point blank, you're financially not up to my level. I mean, does she just have to scramble and start making some serious money, or is that something she should let go of?
Well, the and I'll talk to you a little bit about the modality that I use to
Okay, great. Yeah, I was actually going to ask what modality you use to help women overcome the blocks that hold them back. Yeah.
well, I am a big fan of EFT, emotional freedom technique, because I've found that both for myself as well as the clients that I work with, it's the most efficient and powerful tool that you can use to really begin to shift those unconscious beliefs you have about yourself, about life, about relationships, about men, about whatever is sticking you, whatever it is that is being reflected back to you from the world, from partners, from, potential partners. Um, and EFT is emotional freedom technique. It's basically, you can think of it as acupuncture for your emotions. So basically, you tap on certain meridians, so they are energy points in the body, and it's something that's really easy to do, easy to learn, and it's something that's really powerful. It's a tool that's really powerful to get to the root cause of this shadow that you have, the root cause of these unconscious limiting beliefs that hold you back, that have you show up in certain ways that influence, the way that you both interpret and react to to people who show up in your life. And in this case, in the dating world, what we're talking about. So EFT is a really powerful tool, and I encourage. I actually do the work with my private clients, but I encourage women to find a modality or find something that's going to help them to really look at what the root cause is of your shadow. First, you have to identify what that shadow is, right? And you can start by looking at the things that make you uncomfortable. You can start by looking at what you're ashamed of what you may not want a potential partner to know about you or to see about you. And then you can begin the work of healing that. And once you begin to heal that, it doesn't have the power that it does. You don't attract people who all of a sudden are having all of these things show up for you, or are reflecting back this shame, or this part of you that you feel is unacceptable.
Well, I am so intrigued with EFT, emotional freedom technique. I'd love for you to talk to us a little bit more about that. I understand it's tapping on the certain meridian points. Why does it work? Why does that really work? And maybe you can explain a little bit of the energy dynamics behind it.
Why it works. Really
you know,
deep, complex question. Uh, Basically, you're working with the energy system, you're working with the nervous system, and you're going back to memories that you've had that have created, for example, that have created certain trauma in the body and emotional trauma. And what you're doing through EFT is you're essentially releasing the um, the anxiety level that you feel that is associated with that trauma that you may not even be aware, has been keeping you stuck all along.
Yeah.
So basically that's, how EFT works. It works to release the emotional. It gives you emotional freedom. That's why it's called emotional
Mm-hmm.
freedom
Mm-hmm.
technique. And the emotional freedom is for the parts of your life or the situations in which you have felt, like you weren't good enough, or
Right.
have created some, self-doubt, or have created some sort of trauma within you that you're carrying around.
Yeah, exactly. So if I can reinterpret that, what you're saying is our nervous system is charged with these emotions. I kind of always tell my clients we store our emotions in our bodies.
Mhm.
And you're being a little more specific, saying it's really in the nervous system. And when you tap on certain meridians, those meridians are associated with the nervous system pathway of energy. Can I put it like that? Does that
Absolutely.
seem to make sense? So I'm always telling my clients we are energy. Whatever energy we put out is what we get back. So and also I tell them, you might not be conscious of what energy you are putting out in your shadow. The part of you that you don't know is putting out energy, which is why people start doing affirmations and they start doing law of attraction and they say it doesn't work, it doesn't work for me, where there's a whole body of energy that you're not addressing, which is the emotions that are stored in our bodies. So when you tap these meridians, it sounds to me like it kind of releases the emotional energy that's stored in certain pathways and certain points. Is that a fair assessment of how?
Absolutely. Well summarized. Thank you.
Okay, great. Great. That's awesome. So, do you have common, uh, let's call them complaints that you hear from clients who are like blocked in the area of relationship and I can't find my perfect mate? And what is the common complaint and how do you help them to move through it or shift their thinking about it?
There are many complaints.
Yeah, we both hear them, right? Constantly.
Yeah, I would say a really common one is the complaint that, all the guys that I'm interested in aren't interested in me, or they're players, or they're not interested in commitment, but the guys that I'm not interested in are all about me.
I
That,
love that
you
one.
know
I
that
love that one.
one? That one's a really common one.
Yeah, let's hear how you handle that one.
Well, that one I feel, in my work with women, comes from a place. I honestly believe that whatever that life really happens through you, right? So whatever you're experiencing outside of you, you have to look within and see how am I showing up that way? How
Yeah.
am I showing up this way that is attracting the same to me?
Right.
So I find that, women who are attracted to men who are unavailable is because they themselves are unavailable to love.
Mm,
And it's usually because of a fear of being in a relationship, a fear of intimacy, a fear of being really seen by somebody else. And that could come from feeling like, relationships aren't safe if that's what
yes.
you experienced
Yeah.
in your early childhood, or um, I really gonna accept me for all of me. So
Hmm.
all of those fears allow you to, or actually lead you to project this energy that'll bring back to you the same,
Yeah.
right? So once you begin to make those internal shifts and let go of those limiting beliefs that tell you that it's not safe to be in a relationship, that you're not good enough for a relationship, that men are non-committal, that men are no good, or that they're gonna hurt you, then you begin to feel more attraction and you attract people who match that state, that new state. And you begin to attract men who are actually very available to a relationship and they want to go there with you.
Yeah. Yeah. So if a woman cannot see because it's in her shadow how she's generating these people who are reflecting back to her what she doesn't see in herself, how do you help her to see it, that this could be, that she could be the underlying cause of the results that she's getting in her life?
Well, the number one way that I guide my clients and just women in general to see what their shadow is and to see what they need to shift internally is just by looking at their environment and looking at the type of men. Usually there's a pattern. You know,
Yeah.
there's been a pattern
Yeah.
in the relationships that you've attracted, and there's usually a pattern in the men that you attract as you date. So look at the characteristics and especially the ones that you're not really comfortable with, that you don't want to continue attracting, and ask yourself very honestly, what part of me is reflecting that back to me
Yeah.
in these people that I'm meeting.
Yeah, we have to be honest with ourselves.
Yeah. And it's really easy to just look externally and to blame the external environment and to just get on, Match or some, internet dating site and going out on dates after dates and then, meeting somebody because you eventually do meet somebody. But if you don't deal with the shadow, if you don't heal the underlying feelings that you have about yourself and just about relationships that have caused you to have these patterns um, in relationships, then you just end up repeating the same patterns over and over. So it's it takes a little bit more effort, but to have that handled before you put yourself out there, or be working on it as you're meeting and dating and putting yourself out there, but at least do that internal work as well.
Well, because we know what happens if you don't do it. You attract the person who is going to make you go through that growth and inner work anyway.
You're gonna do it.
So either
That's
you go through the fire and go through, another relationship failure notched on your belt. I mean, I don't want to call it a failure because all of it ultimately does serve us. But
Mhm.
yeah, you'll do it one way or another.
You will. You
Just depends how much tolerance you have for pain.
Exactly. It's well said. It is very well said.
So tell me about your book. It sounds so sexy and juicy. Sexy Secrets to a Juicy Love Life. Tell us.
Yes, yes. Sexy Secrets to a Juicy Love Life is a compilation of myself and 11 other or 10 other authors, and it became an Amazon bestseller, which we're really happy about. And it's my chapter is called "Be Magnetic to Mr. Right," and in it I talk about how the steps that I've taken and the steps that I lead my clients through to really just not only define their Mr. Right, but become a reflection of that person so that they're more attractive to him.
That,
And
oh, I just have to interrupt right there because that is so important what you just said. We've been talking about we get our reflection back to us, but if you become the reflection that you want to get back, that is just the totally brilliant way of looking at it. You got to become what you're going to reflect and what you want reflected back to you. I don't know. I just love the way you said that. That was great. So
exactly,
continue.
exactly. And the book is it's just been amazing. It's been an amazing journey. writing this chapter and really putting the things that I teach into on paper and having that resource out there as well.
Yeah, great. So people can go find it on Amazon. So awesome. That sounds totally awesome. So, Sandra, it has been a tremendous pleasure to have you. And I was wondering before we close if you had any parting words, the final thought of wisdom that you want to impart to viewers and let them have a little takeaway about what to do best in their relationships.
I want to thank you for putting the summit together because I love this topic and I don't really hear a lot of people talk about shadow. I think that the one takeaway that I'd like for every woman or every person listening to understand is that just to reiterate what you said and what we were talking about earlier is that you doing this work before you get into a relationship will save you so much heartache. So please look at the places you still need to heal. And you're not, no, there's no perfect person. I'm not perfect. There's no, I'm sure very few of us walking around with no emotional baggage. So
Yeah.
really looking at the places you still need to heal and doing the work to actually heal that is really going to save you a lot of heartache and it's going to allow you to attract somebody who's more suited, who's best suited for you.
That is truly the bottom line because speaking from experience, having gone through all of those heartaches, it kind of erodes your self-esteem. You
Yeah.
know, I gotta say, the more bedraggled I became with all these guys that were not right for me and I was choosing in the wrong way, the lower I felt about myself. So if you want to do yourself a favor and build yourself up instead of wearing yourself down, yeah, do that in inner introspective work.
And save yourself some time too.
Yeah, there you go. Well, thank you so much, Sandra, for those words of wisdom. Totally appreciated your being here with us today. And everybody else, see us next time on Heal the Shadow in Your Relationships.